We play and call it work.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Rules You Got Wrong, Age of Sigmar edition. We're going to reply to some comments about some of the rules that we did get wrong in some of our battle reports, and maybe some comments that should be something wrong, but we have not. Or I'm interpreting it, we have not, but we'll see. So what's our first comment or story?
First up, Seraphon versus Vampire Counts, episode 51. When you were hitting skinks, you made Geist for 2+ to hit, 2+ to wound, but that is only if he successfully cast a spell in his previous hero phase. Should be 3 up, 3 up. Unless I'm missing something, checking out the rules form, Mortarch of Night. And we can't use the goofy rules as if...
Yeah.
So if it is nighttime or you cannot see the sun, you can add 1 to all hit and wound rolls for Geist 4.
And in this studio here, Josh definitely can't see the sun.
Very dark in here.
Though we kind of count as if all those goofy rules, you kind of get them either way. So yeah, no, he is hitting and wounding on 2s.
Okay, next up, Bretonnia versus Warriors of Chaos, episode 49. The extended range of 6 inches to pile in merely means they have added 3-inch distance for more models to move towards the nearest model when you do the pile in for close combat. You aren't counting as in combat if you are within 6 with this ability. You still need to be within 3 to do the pile-in, but the rest of the unit is a longer distance to get more of the models into range to attack. Remember though, the pile-in is towards the nearest model. You don't slide around in later turns in the same combat, as once you are touching, you aren't sliding. That is a 40k thing. But in many cases, models and large units are still clustered up in the back, and now this unit can sweep those not engaged around the side, or to other models to get some licks in. With a 6-inch range, that gives a lot more flex than the standard 3. Hope that helps.
Okay, so I'm gonna start to talk about this one, but I'm gonna read a couple more comments right afterwards that are actually, I think, reply to this one. So basically, what happened was we were playing a game, and Josh had a model, I think it was a Manticore, that had the ability to pile in 6 inches. Now, at the time, we kind of ruled that he could count as if he was in combat within 6 inches, because there was no really way to. You can only pile in 3. There's no way to really interpret it. So we kind of assumed that it gave him the ability to pile in 6 and count as in combat within 6. Now you're talking about this sliding, and it's a 40k thing. I have absolutely there's nothing in 40k about sliding or anything like that. So I don't know what you mean by that. But so Josh had a model that could pile in 6 inches. I had models in combat 6 inches away from the Manticore, but the Manticore was not in the combat. And in that game, I allowed the Manticore to pile in and get into the combat. Now, before I say whether that's right or wrong, we'll go out and read some more questions, or more comments about the same topic.
Okay, so next up we have Jade Douglas. Luck has it right. Just like the High Elf Prince on Griffin, he must be within 3 to begin combat. But the pile-in may be up to 6 inches. Useful for moving around the fight and dealing with buffing characters or hidden mages, or quite frankly to move away from a particularly scary squad while remaining the locked in combat status.
Well, hold on right there a second. So there's a High Elf Griffin model that also has a similar rule, but it states it may pile in 6 inches, and it also says and does not have to pile into the closest model, and has bounding leap, so it can jump over models to pile in other things. Or as this guy says, what's his name? Douglas, where you can go ahead and jump on a mage or something and tear him apart. And yeah, he's right so far. Just keep, those of you who don't know about these particular monsters, just kind of catch you up so far. So go ahead.
Next up, Thomas Smart 6. The prime is you must pile into the closest model. The Griffin has Hunter, whatever the specific rule is.
Bounding leap.
And can choose to pile in as long as he's still in combat with the same unit. I don't know if Manticore has that rule and they missed it, or if it can ignore intervening models because it's flying. I think that's their point.
And I want to stop right there. First of all, he does not have the rule you just said he does. Nowhere does it say he has to stay in combat with the same unit at all. He can totally leave the unit if he pilots somebody else. So you're wrong about that one. Not that you're... So the Griffin, the Hunter, the rule he's talking about is bounding leap. There's nothing that says he has to stay in combat with the particular unit he was already engaged with. Now that has nothing to do with the original comment, but I'm just correcting that one before we go on.
And then next up, I think it's back to Thomas Smart again. Once in combat in your initiative step, you can pile in so long as you remain in combat. That's how large squads get more models.
Let's stop right there. There is no initiative step. That's a different game altogether. Go ahead.
That's how large squads get more models in after the initial charge, up to 3 inches normally. Pretty sure they're saying the Manticore, while not able to fly over like the Griffin, can still circle the enemy to a more advantageous position. 6 inches rather than the standard 3.
That is basically, though, you should, like, it's dangerous to call it an initiative step because now you're comparing it to another game, 40k, and that's where you can start inferring or just adopting rules that aren't in the game. There is no initiative step. But I do agree with your ultimate kind of analysis, your kind of conclusion. When he piles in, he can move up to 6 inches. So during that game, we should not have allowed Josh to move that Manticore into combat. What it is for, and yes, you have to put on the closest model. He can move up to 6 inches and allow him to wrap around larger models' bases. I don't know if that is intended, but that is the best way to interpret it. By all means, comment below if you disagree, but model must pile in the closest model. He must be within 3 in the combat you can pile in the first place, and that particular one can pile it up to 6 inches, which could wrap around a base and get to other models and bring other things into combat. It's still not a terrible rule, but all that. So, predatory leap on the Griffin can leave his own combat. There is no initiative step, and I think Thomas Smart, what was his name?
Yep.
Was ultimately had the closest idea to what can be correct, so we're going to go with what he said.
Next up, Christian Kasner 1. Fever the Fey only affects melee combat, not ranged like you did, Steve.
Oh, that could have been game changing. That probably was game changing. So remember I fired this 100.
The only reason I lost.
You remember I fired this 120 bows?
No, I forgot all about it.
Yeah. They should not have that +2 to hit. I blame Josh. He shouldn't have let me do it. Yeah, no, I goofed. I goofed. My bad. You were absolutely right, sir.
Next up, J. Douglas 1. Also, can someone explain why they jump between combats? I get switching between players, but don't you need to fully resolve a combat instance before moving to the next one? Maybe I have 7th, 8th, end times of 40k stuck in my head, but I don't see any reason in the rules to jump between combat instances.
Well, except for in the rules, it tells you exactly to do that. Unfortunately, you do have previous editions of... No, hold on. You have other games stuck in your head. It's a whole new game, so you have to take out everything you know about other games and stop applying it to the current game, Age of Sigmar. You pick a unit... So Josh and I are fighting. We get to the combat phase. I pick a unit to fight, and then Josh picks a unit to fight. He does not have to pick the one that's in the combat or the first unit I picked. That is probably one of the biggest...
strategic
parts of the game. Yeah. So there you go. So just so you know, you don't have to continue the fight where we started. Actually, it's better to not, because these models are usually pretty safe from getting killed, so you tackle them later on. But that's it for rules you got wrong this week in Age of Sigmar, and comment below if you disagree or have different opinions on anything I said, and keep posting those rule errors to us so we can catch them and not do them. I'm sorry about the Fae. My bad.
It happens, guys.
Thanks for watching. Happy wargaming.